share that over the YouTube link over to the good people in the Discord.
Yep. Yes, sir.
All right. Cool. For those of you just joining us right now,
Well, no one's in here that quick. Don't
hey,
even.
well, people are going to join and they're going to see this.
Well, it's live.
Well, I know, but people are going to, they can go backwards.
You're right.
Yeah. Plus the VOD will be up. So for those of you just joining, we're going to get started here in a real quick second. Just got to plug the URL for the good people in the Discord.
Bro, it's incredible some of these plants in my house are still alive.
You're a real plant daddy.
I know.
All right. Ready to go?
Let's see. Feel good?
Yep. All right, let's clap in. 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Not even close.
Hey, by the way, we can mark clips now here in Riverside. So if we ever want to click at the bottom, it says add marker.
Oh, bro, it's beta. Who's to say?
We got the beta.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. May have to mark some clips.
Yeah.
All right, go for it, man.
Cool. La 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 la. Ah! Ah! All right, you ready? 3,
I'm ready.
2, 1. Hey, everyone, it's Matt.
And this is Lucas,
And this is Thanks for Playing.
the podcast where we break down the most iconic video games the world has to offer. All right.
Fuck.
I think this is the first episode of the new year, if this all goes according to plan.
Yeah. No. Yes. No. Oh, we have an episode coming out tomorrow. We're recording this on the 29th. If anything's possible, it will be out tomorrow that you all have listened to because you have such loyal listeners.
That's right.
And then on the 6th, this is coming out. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2. That's right. Oh,
Hey,
and
Blanksy just joined the chat.
Blanksy in the chat. What's up, Blanksy? As a reminder, everyone, we do stream all of our game episodes live on YouTube. So as a reminder, if you ever want to come see us live, come hang out, subscribe to the YouTube. You can find that all in our link tree on Twitter and Instagram at TFP Podcast. That's at TFP Podcast with an S at the end. And you know what? Maybe you want to hang out, but you're worried you'll miss the subscription. You won't get the notification. Better yet, you can join our Discord to find out when we're going live. And you can find our Discord in the link tree at TFP Podcast. Again, that's TFP Podcast with an S at the end. That is both Twitter and Instagram. And if you know it, maybe you don't have Twitter or Instagram, shoot us an email. Thanks for playing pod@gmail.com. I will send you the Discord link invite, and we can come hang out.
We also have a website. You can find everything on the website too.
We do. Lucas, thanks for playing .live. That's our website. And I'm just going to say it. There's some great photos on there.
That's right. We got some modeling
shots. I had
shots.
a photo shoot that we still need to put on Instagram at some point. Shout out to Chambers. Did a wonderful job taking photos for us. Just good energy.
Awesome.
Good energy.
That's right.
But as much as I love talking about photos, there's a lot to talk about today. We got the game, Lucas, which we'll get to, but Warner Brothers working on an FPS potentially. Thoughts?
I'm for it. I am for it. So a competitive FPS. This is some news the last couple months. It's been kind of around the rumor mill. Now, Warner Brothers, it's kind of funny. When you think Warner Brothers, you don't really think video games like right away. And sometimes you're like, what have they done? What have they published? What have they done? Most recently, Back 4 Blood, which has been a pretty big success. They're releasing Hogwarts Legacy next year, which we've talked about previously on the pod. They got all of the Lego Star Wars stuff and all the Lego movies in general. They got the Hitman series. There's an Injustice and Mortal Kombat. There's a lot of really solid Warner Brothers stuff. And, I can see a total awesome competitive FPS coming out of them pretty soon. Especially everybody's kind of entering. Well, I say everybody. Developers are entering the competitive FPS genre. We got Riot entering with Valorant. Of course, CS:GO has kind of been a staple for a long time. Overwatch has been a thing. So kind of depending on what you want to lean into, if they want to go that hyper competitive route, there's certainly enough players in the ecosystem to go that route. If they want to go the Overwatch route, they could too. But
Yeah.
more and the more the merrier. I'm all for the arms race, pun intended, of competitive FPS shooters.
Yeah, I mean, whatever way they do decide to take it, if it is real, right? I mean, big if right there.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what they do. I mean, everyone wants a piece of the pie. Whether you're a developer, whether you're a content creator. I mean, for Christ's sake, Doctor Disrespect has his own game studio now, which is still nutty to think about. But
Yeah.
everyone wants a little piece of the pie. So excited to see this all play out in the future. But I don't know about you, Lucas. As much as I like pie, um, what I really like is sea salt ice cream.
That was so good.
Yeah.
That was a really, really great segue.
I love sea salt ice cream, and where can we find sea salt ice cream, Lucas?
We could find sea salt ice cream in a little video game called Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's right, everyone. Today we are talking about the number one Mickey Mouse anime simulator, Kingdom Hearts 2. Dun.
That's right. The
Then
2006. I love that song so much. The 2006 single player adventure game by Square Enix. 9 out of 10 on Game Informer, 8 out of 10 on Eurogamer, and A plus on OneUp.com. A 7.6 from IGN, the lowest score. 87 out of 100 on Metacritic overall. So great game, certified great game. I don't know a single gamer that is not aware of Kingdom Hearts' existence as a series. It's overwhelmingly ubiquitous in terms of it's just been around for a while, 20 years, if at this point, 20 years? Yeah.
Kingdom
19?
Hearts 2 came out in 02, so yeah. Or Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002, excuse me. So yeah.
20-year
just about 20
series.
Years, 19 years. Yeah.
Besides, I mean, the biggest continuous Square Enix property for sure. I mean, we got Final Fantasies, but those are all anthology series, so Kingdom Hearts is just massive in terms of the story and the characters and its kind of impact. And this is the second game. I think a lot of people consider it to be one of the best ones of the series. And I think I might be up there, even though I've only played 2 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you listen to our first episode we did on Kingdom Hearts, the original that we played through for the podcast, I mean, it's no secret how near and dear this game is to my heart. And I mean, kind of across the Kingdom Hearts community, Kingdom Hearts 2 kind of, I mean, it depends on who you ask, but I'd say for most people, probably myself included, Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably the best game in the series overall, I think. When you combine everything together from the story aspect with kind of the little twists and turns it has to the incredible improvement on the gameplay really in every aspect of it. I mean, it just takes everything the first game did and just makes it so much better. And it just lays so much groundwork for, future 13 years of games between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 with all these little side branching stories and prequels and things like that. And such an incredible game with just the groundwork that it laid and everything else. So very, very excited to dig into it a little bit more and kind of get into it. But in case anyone's a little unfamiliar, we're going to do a quick, well, I don't know if we'll even call this a synopsis, but a quick explanation of what Kingdom Hearts 2 is, the very basic thing.
Synopses are very difficult with Kingdom Hearts, I think. A lot of Kingdom Hearts
especially as the game goes on and on. But we'll do the best we can here. So, following the events of Kingdom Hearts 1 after defeating Ansem Seeker of Darkness and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, the player takes control of a mysterious new character named ROXAS, Upon beginning to understand Roxas' nature, Roxas merges with Sora, and Sora awakens with the player regaining control of them. Sora went to sleep at the end of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories to fix their memories. I forgot to mention that. I apologize. Sora, Donald, and Goofy, Gorsh, then continue their quest of fighting off Heartless, searching for the King and Riku, and battling against the mysterious nobodies of the enigmatic Organization 13.
Love it. I mean, yeah, we go down the rabbit hole of what the overall synopsis of the Kingdom Hearts story, even for two, it feels like it's so massive. And even like after I finished the game, I messaged Matt after I had finished the game and just to read through the story again, like, okay, what just happened? Let me make sure I got everything. And I had so many questions, and as I was even reading through the story, I was screenshotting parts of Wikipedia, like, okay, I saw this happen, and I was still a little confused on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, it is such a. I mean, every game it just gets worse and worse with how convoluted the story is. Kingdom Hearts 1 is honestly, I mean, it's the first game, right? It's very easy to understand what's happening. You're kind of main bad guy. Chain of Memories kind of starts to get a little confusing with actually Organization 13 is introduced in Chain of Memories. And then Kingdom Hearts 2, it just like opens up a rabbit hole of so many different possibilities, or not different possibilities, but just different storylines and things that end up coming together. And like I said, I mean, it just sets the tone for literally 13 years of games. And I mean, it is just nutty how much story there is in it, how convoluted it is. But I fucking love it.
Yeah, I
Really
mean,
do.
I mean, I'll just come out and we can jump right into initial thoughts. This game was really sick. I really like this game like a lot more than Kingdom Hearts One. Kind of from the beginning, and then it just really opened up and got better and better and better as the game went on. Um, I gotta say, the first intro of the game is a little confusing to like a complete outsider. Even for probably you when you first played the game when you were a kid, like who's this Roxas guy? Why are we playing as him for the first 3 hours of the game? Like where's Sora, right? And I understand it goes Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and then Kingdom Hearts 2. Chain of Memories is literally a link between the two, introduces some story elements into the universe, and then continues and runs with it into Kingdom Hearts 2. But like if I did like the catch up thing on Chain of Memories and jumped into Kingdom Hearts 2, I'm sure you were even more confused when you were a kid. You're like, okay, where's Sora?
Well, get this. I didn't even play Chain of Memories before I played Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah,
I mean, but bear in mind, like, I was, I think, 7 or 8 when I first played Kingdom Hearts. Like, I was very, very young. Um, so, I mean, I wasn't, like, savvy enough, or and I didn't have the resources or, like, the gaming magazines to know that, oh, there was a chain of memories that came out in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. So, I went into Kingdom Hearts 2 not even knowing anything of Chain of Memories. And then all of a sudden, I'm waking, I enter the game, here's 10-year-old, 11-year-old Matt, and I just wake up. I just see Sora waking up in a pod, and I'm like, well, how do we get there? And I mean, first off, you're playing as Roxas, right? So, I mean, it is just such a. I mean, even going from Chain of Memories to Kingdom Hearts 2, playing as Roxas is such a janky, janky thing. But it's just it's so good. But it's I don't know. My first impressions of the game, it's so weird because I mean my first impressions of it actually happened when I was like, however old I was when I played. It's like 10, 11, 12, somewhere around that range. Where
right.
and then going on over that too, I've replayed this game so many times over the years. I mean, this is probably easily my most played PS2 game. I would think. Actually, Star Wars Battlefront 2 might take that one. I played that a bunch with my friends, my neighbors
That was
growing
a,
up.
that was a great game too.
But yeah, I mean, it is just such. I've sunk so much time into it, so it's hard for me to really nail down my first impressions over the years. But kind of like what really stuck out to me this time, I mean, was just God. Like the opening is Toru Hikaru does not fucking miss. Like the opening is still such a banger. Um, and I don't know. I mean, it just kind of jumps out at you, and it's just such a like jarring kind of entry into the game because you're like we mentioned, you're playing Roxas, and for some reason Jesse McCartney's voicing him, and and it's just weird. But and what immediately really stands out to you, especially because I didn't play any Kingdom Hearts game between this and Kingdom Hearts 1, which we did for the pod back like around this time
A
last
year
year,
ago. Yeah.
is the combat is just so fluid relative to Kingdom Hearts 1 that like immediately jumps out at you with the reaction commands, the combo game being a little bit deeper, and just all around feeling smoother. And there's so many little quality of life improvements as well. Like the camera
Yeah.
is a little bit better, things like that. The gummy ship stuff is a little bit
100%.
better. A lot of little just quality of life stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I really want to dive into the reaction command when we jump into game design for sure. I think it like totally leveled up the game in pretty much every way. I mean, quite literally every aspect of Kingdom Hearts 1 is expanded upon or just made better in this version. The story's deeper, the combat's deeper. There's more abilities, as far as I could tell. There was more abilities. It was easier and faster to level, and grinding wasn't as egregious and like necessary in this game.
yeah.
And the Disney worlds were there's better choices of Disney worlds, I guess, because in this one you had like Timeless River, Pirates, and Tron, which are like really cool Disney properties to jump into, as compared to like what was one that was in there was one that was in Kingdom Hearts 1 that wasn't in this one. Um, what was the big one? There was one in Kingdom Hearts
I
1
mean,
that
there's
wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Monstro, there's Neverland, there Traverse Town.
Never. Oh yeah, I guess it was Neverland. There was one that I really didn't care for too much in Kingdom Hearts 1. But anyway, I think that the choices of Disney properties were solid in this one for sure compared to Kingdom Hearts 1. Um, I don't know. There's twists. There's like cool. There's actual like really
Oh,
good
Alice in
story.
Wonderland, I bet is what you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one was chill. I thought it was pretty psychedelic. Pretty fun. I forget. I'll probably remember by the time the episode's over. But it just gets huge. It's like there's all this backstory. There's flashbacks. There's like flashbacks to the first game, and it's just built on so much more than Kingdom Hearts 1 was. So I liked it, and this was my first time playing through Kingdom Hearts 2. So it's yes, Tarzan. Somebody in the chat just came.
Oh, poor
uh,
Carly, yeah.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Tarzan. That was I was not a big fan of that, especially the swinging on the Tarzan level in Kingdom Hearts 1. I hated it so much. Um, I just yeah. It was my first time playing through this one, and I think I kind of was talking to you through my playthrough, Matt. Like we'd catch up or text each other, like what was going on, and definitely like I was so invested at the halfway point of the game, and I really want to talk about that for like favorite moment for sure. It just gets so awesome at some parts, like all
Yeah.
out war, yeah, really, really cool. I don't know how else to describe my initial impressions,
So
just
you
that it gets
mentioned
really
like you
great.
loved the halfway part, but at what point did it really click for you? Is what I want to know.
Um, I'd say then. Um, I think it's hard to say that it clicked because the combat's very much the same. Oh, you know what? I think when it clicked for me the most was when you're playing as Roxas and you fight Axel, in the underground laboratory in the very beginning,
Yeah,
surrounded by
yeah.
flames. That's when the reaction commands kind of come into play in a really cool way. Because the reaction commands start becoming basically mini cutscenes during boss fights that help you like fight the bosses a little bit
Kind of
better.
like just quick time events.
Yeah, they're like quick time events, and I think that just took the combat in the game a step further because, I mean, in a game like this, which is not a very reaction based combat system, they found a way to really create that. It's not like a reaction based combat system like Cuphead is, where Cuphead's like the dodging and the movement is so fast, and you can reasonably react to like everything that's being thrown at you to fight. Kingdom Hearts is not necessarily like that. It's like I wouldn't say the combat is as close to that. It's a little bit slower and less reaction based, except for the reaction commands where like it could be a dodge that you can react. You can actually dodge with like a reaction command, or like do some sort of interesting maneuver with the reaction command to do extra damage to the boss. Which adds another element for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, even just going beyond the reaction commands, they really integrated some interesting use of the command menu as well. I mean, like one of the bigger fights in the end of the game when you're fighting Luke Sword, who is one of the members of Organization 13. It's like the guy's like a gambling addict. That's his shtick, basically. Uh,
He turns you into a
turns
dice
you to a
and
die,
some
and then you have to
cards.
like play with his cards and stuff. And one of like little mini games within that boss fight is rather than reaction commands, you have to your command manuals like start being there's like four drop downs in your command menu that you can just select from, and three of them will turn into an X, and one will turn into a circle. And you have to like click the circle to get the menu or get
That
like
was
the
cool.
best outcome in that fight in that moment. And you have to be like very quick about it, and like it's really just a timing thing. And then I don't know if you noticed this, but in the Ansem fight as well, the reaction command, the very
The
first
end.
Ansem fight, actually,
The
um,
end.
the end, or was it the end, or are we talking about the one where it's just Sora?
Uh, well, just Sora and like you're fighting in front of a building.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
skyscraper. There's a really cool part too where if you where Zemnis is falling off the building and Sora's jumping up the building, like running up it, getting ready to confront him, and then the first reaction command is like "oh the end" or like "clash" or something. And if you try and do that, it just like Zemnis just dodge and you're just sitting there looking like a fool. But then
Yeah.
if you like just are a little bit more patient and wait for it to be like just the right strike, then you can get a better outcome within that reaction command. You get a different option. Um,
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was just getting hit at that
exactly.
point.
Yeah. So little things like that are really good and they do very well. And I mean the reaction command overall is just kind of one of the biggest revelations for me in the game gameplay wise. But I think for me too when it really clicked and probably the first time that I really played it when it really clicked was um, I think the drive gauges is like when you get the drive gauges that's when everything really kind of um,
The drive gauges are sick.
drive gauges are nutty. And I mean, the way you can like kind of have a little bit more fun and come out with those and kind of have different like playing styles with them as well is so fun, and I just loved it. And Blank C in the chat is talking about the Sephiroth boss fight, which is actually I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But one of my crazy optional boss fight, Lucas, you probably didn't even know it was there, but
I saw it as an optional one, but I never went
okay,
for it.
yeah. Super,
Yeah.
super hard. And yeah, there's like literally a reaction command there where you miss it in the first minute, you just lose all your health.
That's so
Pretty
awesome.
nutty. Yeah.
Glad it's optional. Marley has one. Tied between this is Marley in the chat. Tied between Roxas and Axel's commands on the final fight form are the final fight. Yeah, there's like 10 final fights. From the point where Zenmis is pelting you with bullets to the end. Yeah, that whole thing. I mean, the game ends with a reaction command basically. That's how like vital to the combat system the reaction command. It's that combination
Yeah.
of pushing the reaction command and A or X if you're playing on PlayStation. And yeah, it was really cool at the end there.
Yeah. Love it. So let's dive. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit a lot, but let's dive a little bit more into game design. I mean, at its core, it's like a very simple RPG, right? I mean, you just have pretty. I know we're talking very highly of it, but at its core, the game, the combat is still pretty simple with just um, hitting X a lot, but also integrating like square and triangle for reaction commands. But something I think this game does really well is as you continue to play the game, the combat really opens up into the game. You know, you're playing it, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, I can mix in reaction commands. And then as your magic gets a little bit higher, you go, oh, I can mix in, um, thunder into my combos or Magnega to help extend the combo. Or
Hmm.
you're realizing, oh, I have this extra ability I can equip that mid combo lets me knock people up. And I think that's what Kingdom Hearts does excels at is opening up your combo game really to kind
Yeah.
of help keep everything fresh and interesting. Because in Kingdom Hearts 1, that was like everything. I think the combat got kind of boring pretty quick because it was basically just Sora only really had like a 3-hit combo
A
if I
three
remember
hit combo,
correctly, 3 or
yeah.
4-hit combo. Whereas in Kingdom Hearts 2, I mean, you could easily have like a 10 or 12 hit combo if you extend things well enough and you time things right, which
Yeah,
is so
totally.
because what's good about that is when the combat is inherently simple, where it's not like a game like Smash Brothers or like a Street Fighter where you have to be very intricate with your combos. What Kingdom Hearts 2 does well is it comes down to timing. Like, okay, 3 X's, and then after this animation, it's pressing square to then knock my opponent up, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
getting a Magnega to get them stuck up there.
yeah.
Integrating things like that, I think, is what games like Kingdom Hearts really have to capitalize on to keep combat fun and interesting.
Yeah, and it also still like you always had to at least execute. Like even if you got your combo down, like I think I got to the point where around like mid level 30, like maybe 34, 35, like I unlocked what I thought was like the longest combo that I could possibly unlock. It was like start off as a ground combo, hit him up in the air with like a super hit like onto the ground, knocked him up, do jump in the air, do an aerial combo, do this horizontal slash in the air, and then do like a super move at the end. So it was like, oh wow, that's like a feels like a 15 hit combo. It does like half a health bar for any enemy. But then I unlocked a Keyblade that lets me do more actions after my finisher in the air. So I'm like, oh
Right. Yeah.
wow, this is like more flexibility into my combo game. And then I still found that if I maybe had to do it twice to some enemy trash and kill it, but there was times where I would mess up the execution and I'd get punished for it pretty regularly, right? Because I mean, basically while you're comboing, you can't really get hurt unless like you get hit by some sort of some projectile pings you or something. But you can't. You're just comboing off on some enemy. They're not going to be able to respond. But if you
There
mess
are
up your
some points though
execution,
where
they
the
can.
enemies like don't move, right? Like they have like super armor basically. So
Yeah, there was those guys that would like skate around, Jet Set Radio style, and just
oh,
grab
I
you
hate that game.
and then throw you. There's those guys that would just skate around on sick ass rollerblades, grab you and then throw you. And like if you messed up your combo at all, they'd be able to grab you and take out like a good chunk of
They're like
health.
they had like the pinkish hue to them, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know which
rollerblades.
one you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah,
you
yeah.
just don't. You just hate rollerblades after playing Jet Set.
Yeah. Something else I really liked too was they made sure that the player or the kind of put a way into the game to add incentive for the player to not overly rely or overuse the drive gauge in the form of the anti-form. Did you get that, Lucas?
I didn't get the anti form.
You
Is
did
that?
you use your forms much or
Are you talking about the drives? I use the drives all the time.
really? But you never got anti-form.
What is anti form?
Oh, I'm so blown away. I got it so
Oh,
many
geez,
times.
was that an optional? Was that not something you just unlock?
So anti-form was put into the game as, like I mentioned, I believe this is why Nomura put it in as like a bit of an incentive to not overly rely on the drive forms. And the way it works is basically you'll randomly turn into almost like a heartless version of Sora.
Oh,
Um,
that's what that was. Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I was gonna say I'm shocked if you didn't get it,
Oh
but
yeah, I got that plenty, and I was always confused. I was like, "Are my drives?" Because usually I would panic use a drive,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
always thought I was clicking on the wrong one. I was like, "Did I equip this?"
Yeah,
What?
yeah. It's not like a terrible form per se, but you can't really like use reaction commands in it. There's not really a guard in it. You don't get XP while you're in it. It's like a purely just offensive form with kind of you're kind of a liability. You're like a glass cannon if you get hit while you're in it, basically.
Yeah,
Um, but I just thought that was such a good little thing they added into to help keep players from being a
on their
little too
toes.
greedy and yeah, keeping everyone on their toes too.
I
And
lost a
fun
boss
fact,
fight from that from because of
oh,
that
did you?
form. Yeah.
And if you equip the two becomes one Keyblade, which you get after fighting with Roxas, every time you enter into a drive form, you either get anti form or you get final form, one of the two.
Oh, okay. That's what was going on there. I got to read those Keyblade descriptions a little bit more closely. Final form was sick.
Well, the that Keyblade that I mentioned, like it literally just was like, oh, it's some secret ability. It's a secret. Like they literally
Oh,
don't tell
that's what
you.
that was.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't use that one. I think I stuck with the. Did they have different range? Because I felt like the one I ended up using near the end like, had a really long range. It was the one that looked like Leon's sword. It was like, I think it was called
Sleeping
Lionheart or
Lion or something.
Sleeping Lion. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was cool.
I'm partial to Oblivion because I'm angsty.
Which one was that one?
Just like the all black when you get, I think you get it right after you reunite with Riku.
Oh yeah, yeah. You get so many. It's almost like okay, some of these like I'm just not gonna use. Like some of them are just there to like just
Yeah, I
fill up some
loved
more
it. I
space.
mean, I used to, because I always thought Keyblades were so cool. I mean, I remember when I was playing it growing up, I would just go up in between like the Keyblades I was using just to like press square and then see the different animations it got when it sort of materialized it. Because that's how invested I was in the game. I was like, oh, the Oblivion one comes from darkness, and then oh, Oathkeeper's just shrouded in
Oh,
light,
that's
or oh,
cool.
Bond of Flame materializes from fire. Little things like that. I loved looking at because you didn't get that in Kingdom Hearts One. All of them just had the same animation when he summoned it, just like kind of blipped out of light, basically. But
Well, they also in Kingdom Hearts 1, did the Keyblades just progressively get better and better whenever you unlocked them? They were just strictly
pretty much,
better.
there was some point where like, oh, this one's a little bit better at magic. This one's a little bit better at strength. But for the most part, each one just got a little incrementally better.
Yeah, I like the Keyblade system in Kingdom Hearts 2 because each one has like a very clear like it does this thing very well.
Yeah.
And like yeah, like And they're pretty they're not exactly like numbers driven. Some of them like genuinely add a new layer into gameplay. Like the Rose one, which you get after completing the Beauty and the Beast like final uh, episode 2 of Beast Castle. That's the one that extends your combo you're able to do more after you do your combo finisher. And I was like, oh wow, this Keyblade like completely changed my combat style. You know, it didn't like make me, it's not as, I'm not as strong in my hits as I would be with the other Keyblade, but this is totally worth what I get out of it. You know, so really cool things with the Keyblades for sure this time around. I got something for you on game design though that I think
Oh,
they're gonna have a good laugh about.
tell me about it.
So we mentioned earlier at the top that IGN gave this game the lowest score out of any reviewers at the time, a 7.6, which is insane. I thought that
Holy
would have
moly.
been higher. It's below the Metacritic like average scores for everybody. Most people either gave this a 8 or higher. I was just blown away by why IGN would rate it this way. You know, so what I did was I just dove into Jeff Haynes' review of IGN on IGN of the game back in the day in 2006, and this is a quote from the end of the article. I understand the eagerness of Kingdom Hearts 2. Myself and many other guys in the office like me were really excited when the game arrived. Plus, as someone who's played and beaten the original PS2 game in addition to the GBA title a number of times, I was definitely looking forward to the sequel. Unfortunately, once I and some of the others actually started playing through it, it became an obvious letdown. The reason? The combat is way too simple, and while the number of attacks and abilities are plentiful, they're ultimately unfulfilling and boring. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful title with a great story and fantastic presentation, but because of its major combat flaws and the fact that it turns its back on exploration and most RPG elements, it does the game a great disservice. 7.6 out of 10. I just like Jeff Haynes. I don't even know if Jeff Haynes is still around with IGN, but I just like really gotta disagree with this take on Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like, if anything, the combat is like the most satisfying and fun part of the game. Like, even for action RPGs at the time and action RPGs that have come since, it's pretty good as far as combat goes. Like, I mean, especially for 2006, and like, just it's great. I mean, we're talking all about how like you can customize your build outs pretty well. There's all these different forms, there's reaction timers, there's combo extension. It's great. I mean, I don't always, I'm blown away by this quote here from IGN. But
Yeah, I mean, we've already established. I mean, we appreciate IGN for what they are, but some of their opinions are pretty whack. Like, I think the the one where they compared, I think, Brothers to Journey was like, I wanted to
oh,
die.
I hated that so much.
The- so
Man.
I can't wait when we do Takes Two for the podcast eventually. That'll be a
Yeah.
fun one. But I mean, yeah, that game. I mean, that's just such a. I mean, just to sum it up, I just absolutely disagree with everything Jeff Haynes says there. Um, I think the game expands on everything better. I don't really feel like the exploration is better or worse than it is in Kingdom Hearts 1, to be honest, at least from, I guess, the way I engaged with the games when I've played them. I mean, I think the combat is objectively better. I think is it simple? Yes, but I don't think it's any simpler than it is in Kingdom Hearts 1, and I've already explained why. Even though it's simple, it is also intricate as well. Um, and I
I,
mean,
I don't
if
even see how, yeah.
and the argument of it turning its back on RPG elements, like, what did it turn its back on that it didn't already not include in Kingdom Hearts, right? Like, I just none of those arguments make any sense in my regard.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And this is coming from, I agree with you too. And this is someone who like loves Final Fantasy and like traditional JRPGs and like the things that they offer. And I think that Kingdom Hearts totally offers all that just in a really unique way, you know, where it's like in Kingdom Hearts, it's more like, I mean, if you just take yourself out of like the action RPG element and like just turn it into the art, just break down the action part and the very active battle system to like more of an RPG style setup. Like you're still customizing all of your loadouts, you're still customizing like what you want to specialize in. You can specialize more in magic and ranged attacks. You can specialize more in combo game. You can specialize more in ground combo game or aerial combo game. You can play more defensively. You can play more offensively. And like you can equip different equip different equipment that like specializes in all these different things and like use different drive modes that do all these different things. And like that those are RPG elements. Like being able to customize and crunch numbers with your character is like what
Yeah.
RPGs are all
Yeah.
about. This game still does that. It's just not in a traditional way. It's in an active, Kingdom Hearts style way, which I think what Kingdom Hearts 2 for sure did was establish like this is the Kingdom Hearts like mode. This is the combat now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and I think Kingdom
And
Hearts 1 did a good job of exploring it and creating it, but this definitely perfected it.
yeah. I mean, something Blanks you just said in the chat is just so accurate. Is that Kingdom Hearts games are cool because they allow you the flexibility to extend combos and get creative with the battle play, but you can also just spam X and win. It's like Melee in that regard. There's something for casuals and hardcore folks alike.
Well said, Blanksy.
Well said, Blanksy. Yeah, love it. All right, I think we did a good little deep dive there into game design. I think. Anything else you want to touch on there, Lucas?
I had nothing else for game
Oh,
design.
and this game has dual keyblades, which is sick as fuck.
Oh yeah, dude. When those show up, that was fire.
And I thought the gummy ship was a little bit better in this game too, just like
The gummy
more
ship was pretty
easily
cool.
upgradable, I thought, and less convoluted to customize and upgrade it as well. But
One of the
much better.
two of the gummy ship levels legitimately were like awesome, like epic,
The Dreadnought one,
Yeah, the
bro,
Dreadnought
that
one
was
was
straight
awesome.
up like they saw it on Death Star from Star Wars New Hope.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
like I was like, this is just like not frame for frame, but it felt like frame for frame Star Wars to be honest. But
Yeah, in fact, the Dreadnought moment, the Dreadnought moment for me was actually one of the best moments for me. It's not my favorite moment, so I'm saving another moment for favorite moment. But that moment with the Dreadnought when and just so for people that haven't played the game or people need to be reminded, it's the gummy ship level. It's the final gummy ship level before you go into the ending portion of the game. And it's super epic. Like you're fighting all these heartless spaceships in space and like going into the core of this giant spaceship like the Death Star and blowing it up. And like the music on that level combined with what you were fighting, and like I think that the music on that level hit on something that I think is really great about Kingdom Hearts is when there's an equal representation of like Disney and Square Enix at the same time, it feels really, really awesome. And sometimes the music really hits that very well. And on that level, it really did. Where like,
yeah,
oh, whoa, like I'm playing something that is completely its own voice. Because at times when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 1, I feel like I may have said this in our episode, but it was hard to find the tone in there where it's like, okay, here's the Disney tone. Okay, now here's the Square Enix tone. It was kind of like, here's one, then here's the other one, and like here's a serious moment. Oh, here's a goofy moment, like to undercut it. But there was moments of Kingdom Hearts 2 where I said, oh, this is the Kingdom Hearts moment. This is its own voice
yeah,
now. This is
yeah,
its own tone. And the Dreadnought fight, I was like, yeah, this is unlike the other games now. This is like
yeah.
its
It's
own
like
thing.
Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's Rogue Squadron again.
It's Rogue
Yeah.
Squadron. Yeah. That's another one I actually want to play for the pod. Is the Star Wars Rogue Squadron game they made. Topic for a different day, but
Mhm.
yeah, gummy ships were a little bit more enjoyable this time. So well done there because that was an absolute chore in the first game. Um, moving on to art style. So I mean, I don't know. I've always thought through the years that I mean, just looking at it from a graphic standpoint first. I mean, it's simple graphics, but and we played the remaster version, but I've always just thought that Kingdom Hearts looks so good. Every era I've played in, when I played it growing up, when I replayed them in my late teens and my early 20s, I've always loved how the art style looks. And I mean, again, we're playing the remastered version, so everything's a little spruced up a bit, but the game looks good. I mean, I think you played the remastered version as well, but the game looks
Yeah.
good.
I bet it would look really awesome on a CRT as well. I feel like it would
Hmm.
probably look pretty smooth and like some of those edges would look a little less like sharp and probably get smoothed out a little bit on the CRTs. CRTs tend to do that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I think it's pretty straightforward in terms of like all the Disney stuff looks like Disney stuff, right? Like you see Jafar, you see Aladdin, you see Beast, and it's like you see castles and Maleficent and Pete, and I think it all like they picked a certain way to the way the game looks graphically, where everything kind of looks good in the engine, I suppose. But then they take all these liberties with like you go to Timeless River, which is the Steamboat Willie stage, and everything's black and white. And like everyone looks like an old, 1920s, 1930s cartoon, and it's really really cool. You go to the Tron world, and everything looks like Tron, and I thought it was really cool that they had the flexibility to really change the look. Um, and I made a note here. I love the how the series moved towards a real clear sci-fi like undertone in this one, where like it's all this fantasy world and magic, and here's Mickey Mouse, and you can cast spells, and then it's like here's a computer.
Yeah,
here's a
yeah,
here's like a scientific experiment going on underneath your feet. Here's a spaceship battle that's basically a Death Star battle, and like the final area is like a city with it, and you're throwing skyscrapers, like the boss is throwing skyscrapers at you.
yeah.
So like as far as like where they chose to go to show things like space, science fiction style, or science fiction inspired uh set pieces, I mean, I think it looks great, and it totally blends really well with what they're doing because the game's all over the place. In terms of like you're in Agrabah, then you're in the Caribbean, then you're in China, but then ultimately you're in space with a dragon on a
Right.
ship.
Yeah, I think the game really does. Kind of going off here, saying like when it's the Kingdom Hearts like worlds and those art, it really does kind of establish more the crazy like fantastic side of it, the sci-fi world of it when it breaks away from the Disney side of it, which I love too. And I mean, I'm always so impressed with how unique they're able to make each world with how things look and kind of how they're able to iterate on it. Whether you're in Halloween Town and then moving into the Christmas version of Halloween Town, or whether you're in, we didn't do it this game or this time because we just neither of us wanted to play rhythm games. But there's like Atlantica in this one again. There's the Pride Lands where you literally turn into a lion and play the
Yeah.
game that way, which I mean is a whole other thing we didn't mention in game design, which is so incredible. I mean, you're literally a lion sower, and they give you like a whole new set of abilities that you use in that mode, which is just crazy. Like a little lion cub Sora that you play as, and then Goofy's like a turtle and Donald's a bird. So funny.
Yeah, that was cool. And you
um,
could dash. That dash was really awesome.
it was really good, yeah. But I always just love seeing the unique flair they give each world and just how that can sometimes tie into the game too. And I mean, like you mentioned, I mean the Steamboat Willie world was so fun, especially coming off of Cuphead. I think that we probably each got a little bit more of a kick out of that one. I
Yeah, that
think,
was cool.
but so well done. And what I love too about we'll kind of get into this a little bit more in sound design, I think, but with the we Steamboat Willie world in particular, um, the even made the sound design kind of sound older. Did you catch that?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
they were talking through like a little bit of a they were talking through a can with some string into the
exactly.
recording box.
Yeah, so well done. And then, I mean, worlds aside, I think the animations for the attacks look good. Even if the combos themselves were simple, I was always happy to put them out because it just looked good. Um, the opening and ending CGI cutscenes has always looked incredible, which I love to see. Only small complaint is I didn't notice this as much in the English version, or excuse me, in the like properly dubbed out version. But excuse me, when I say properly dubbed out, there's like two types of cutscenes. Some where they're talking and their lip flaps are clearly just like
Oh,
pixels moving, and then
yeah.
some where the lip flaps are actually very clearly like being moved by an animator. The former very much like not even come close to matching up at all with like even just the timing of words, but that's okay. But something else I want to give a lot of credit to is I don't know why, but I love how they make certain um, like magic attacks look. For example, I love how like the magnet spell looks
Hmm.
because when I see that come into fruition, I'm like, oh, that's if we could see a magnetic forces, I'm like, yeah, that's probably what it looks like, you know.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that kind of brought into the game properly. Yeah,
Yeah. I love the design of all the keyblades for sure. And
yeah,
like
and all the
just
keyblade designs and the different form designs are sick. And I mean, Riku just looks like this super sick angsty guy with his sick ass keyblade.
yeah.
Um, so fun, so
Yeah,
fun.
really cool. I'm one my note here on art style, a ton of zippers. Everyone's got a zipper
Zipper belts.
in belts in one way or another. Big
Yeah,
shoes. Um, yeah, it's kind of funny because like I remember when we were playing through
that's kind of
Kingdom
like a
Hearts.
Final Fantasy. That's just kind of like a Nomura thing, isn't it?
Well, not. I mean, in
or a Final Fantasy thing as
Final
well.
Fantasy, I don't think people have particularly big shoes in at least,
The
you know.
shoes are definitely a Kingdom Hearts thing.
Yeah, shoes are a Kingdom Hearts like. Seems like it's a meme. I'd go as far as to say because I remember even last year when we were playing, and I was like, "Damn, these people got big ass shoes." And you were like, "Yeah, dude, that's the thing. Like, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome to Kingdom Hearts." And then you play, and then like as I play through this game, and you see the big shoes, it becomes less of like an observation for me, and becomes more of like an acceptance, where it's just like, "Oh, cool, yeah, there's the big shoes." Like, when you get your new garments, like there's just zippers everywhere. Oh, Sora's outfit in this one was super. Like when that happens and you get your new like your new digs and stuff, that was really cool. That was like, oh, okay, we're in a new game now. Like that was a really cool way to kind of like take us out of Kingdom Hearts 1 and fully introduce us to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, and it's like a very. I mean, he just looks so much more mature in those ones too, because he's like very. He's gotten taller between 1 and 2, right? So
Yeah.
just seeing
Yeah.
him in proper clothes helps a lot with that too, and makes the transition very clear. I would say. Moving into sound design, is there anything else you want to touch on, Lucas?
For art style, no, we could jump into sound design.
So yeah, sound design. I mean, just starting off on the soundtrack, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Utaru Hikaru doesn't fucking miss. So good. I mean, I can listen to these soundtracks on repeat all fucking day.
What's this
Um,
main song? Sanctuary?
Sanctuary, yeah.
Yeah, that song is really, really good. That was in the commercial for the game I remember on TV, and it
Hmm.
like it was such a sick commercial too because it had like bits of the Tron like scene. It had like the rock. It had ROXAS. It had dual wieldings like keyblades, and then like that song was just playing in the background. So good.
Yeah, and then I mean, that aside too, even just within the game, there's so many good little soundtracks. Like there's one that I love that I used to play at the gym actually because it got me so gassed up. It's called Tension Rising. Basically,
Oh
like whenever
yeah.
shit was about to go down, it's like dun 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 dun. I don't know. That's a terrible impression, but I'll Discord it to you right now, Lucas, and I'll post it in the chat here on YouTube as well, in case anyone's curious
Yes,
to check
thank you,
it out.
sir.
But
I think I have it right here. I was listening to a playlist of music. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the chat for anybody in there, including Blanksy.
yeah, we can maybe
Um,
throw a time clip in or a little snippet into the proper podcast recording as well. But I don't know. It's just such a good little soundtrack, and it's called Tension Rising, and as you listen to it, it's just kind of like, here we go.
yeah, yeah.
Here it comes. Here's the big fight's coming. Yeah, I mean the soundtrack is incredible. I think the combat sounds are great. The voice acting is actually pretty good. Even the smaller characters I think is good. Like Hannah Pence and Alette have solid voice actors. Jesse McCartney, who voices Roxas, I think this is like one of the first big voice jobs he had, and honestly, extremely good job.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
like
gone on to
Roxas's
do other
voice.
things too. Most notably that I've seen him in at least is he's done. He did Robin, Dick Grayson in the Young Justice animated series,
Oh
which is a
wow.
really really good animated series. If there's anyone that's into that, but um, yeah, really really good voice actor, and maybe one day Roxas will just break out in song. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I agree with you on Roxas for sure. Because even like the first 3 hours or first 2 3 hours ish of like playing as Roxas, it was really sad to see him leave because he really did feel like a really cool character to get to know or want to get to know, and I think his voice acting really took him very far. Felt like he was aggressive at times, angry. He showed like a lot of he was confused and angry and kind of like had this vibe that was very subtle in a lot of ways with the voice actor. So yeah, love the Roxas voice acting for sure.
I just want to give a little love to Roxas real quick. Actually, I think Roxas and the overarching Kingdom Hearts series as a whole, I think Roxas is actually one of the most tragic characters and has like the most tragic kind of story in the series as a whole. Especially if you do ever, I don't think we'll play 358 days because it's just there's a lot of other Kingdom Hearts game to play, but um, there's a great there's like no more instead of doing a remake for the game, he put together a basically like a cutscene movie for it that you can watch. It's really good. That goes over the whole story that I recommend checking out.
Yeah, it's in the
And yeah,
final
I mean,
mix.
it's in the final mix. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think of everyone in that game or in the series, Roxas, and then a future character who I won't name right now, but Roxas and Ventus. Oh fuck, I just named them. Probably.
Just do 1 second. You went 1 second without naming him.
You don't know who Ventus is yet, but Roxas and Ventus, I think, have some of the
Oh,
most tragic backstories in the game. And I don't know, a lot of love to Roxas, but I want to touch on too the I'm really impressed with how much of the original voice actors they got back for this, um, from like the Disney voice actors, right?
yeah. So I know I didn't pick up on all them. I mean, it's very clear that like they didn't get Robin Williams again for Genie. It's a pretty
Right.
obvious one. I don't think that was Johnny Depp playing Jack. Or I don't think it was Orlando Bloom, Johnny Depp, or Keira Knightley in the Pirates level,
So it's
right?
cool. So let me. I found a really cool like tier chart on Reddit, posted by user ZLPV7672 on the Kingdom Hearts subreddit.
Must be his nobody name. Oh
Right.
wait, there's no X. Is there an X?
There's no X.
Oh damn it.
And I'll send these to you right now, Lucas, where the break down the different like tiers of voice actors. So there's 5 different tiers here. There's original voice, meaning it's the original voice actor doing the voice for the character. There is the official successor to the original voice, which meaning
Oh.
for whatever reason this person's not doing the voice of that character anymore, and this is for all intents and purposes across all media their successor now. They have official voice in anything that's not the original movie. Um, you see this for like Genie, Phil, what's the fucking
Oh
Little
yeah. Okay.
Dragon?
Mushu.
Yeah, Mushu. And
Yeah.
then they have just like a category for outright impersonators, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then they actually apparently have some original archived audio. I don't understand what that means, to be totally honest, but
Original
context of
archived
this?
audio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it must be audio that was like, saved during the making of that movie because it's James Earl Jones playing Simba's dad. Why am I forgetting?
Mm,
Why am I forgetting the name?
of who?
Simba's dad.
Mufasa.
Oh right. Oh my God. I gotta brush up on my Disney. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. This is actually a really great tier list here. So original voice, yeah, that was James Woods. It was totally Gilbert Gottfried playing the freaking bird in the Aladdin level. So that's pretty cool. Now that's interesting. There is a category for the official voice of a Disney character that's in anything that's not the original movie. Now we did just pick up a fun fact from longtime Smash Bros affiliate Tanner at Polar Express Night, where there's certain precedent for stuff like that, like Woody's voice in anything that's not Toy Story is always played by Tom Hanks' brother, for instance. So, fun fact for those of you that don't know. So Disney is like very, very clear on who is supposed to be a successor or who's supposed to be the voice of something when it's not in the movie, right? So I'm assuming, for instance, there's a voice actor named Brian George that plays Barbossa. It's the official voice for anything that's not the original movie. So you'll hear
Yeah.
Brian George playing Barbossa in like if there was a Pirates of the Caribbean casino, uh, slot machine or something. You'll probably hear that guy.
Yeah. And then really quickly, just want to respond to Blank C, arguing that Rox is not the most tragic character. Talking more specifically about the Birth by Sleep crew, another Kingdom Hearts game. Blank C, I think I will. I'm willing to take that argument as well. I think that's a great argument. Lucas, I think the next Kingdom Hearts game we should do should probably be Birth by Sleep. Actually,
Birth by Sleep, is that a prequel?
that is a prequel to like synopsis or excuse me, sequentially it goes Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories 358 over 2 days, Kingdom Hearts 2. Then I think
Wait. Oh,
Dream Drop
yeah.
Distance, and then 3, and then Fragmentary Passage is in there as well between like during Kingdom Hearts 1 kinda. And then Kingdom
Melody
Hearts
of
like
Memory.
this Melody of Memory that's after 3. And then there's another mobile one. I forget what it's called. Kingdom Hearts Recom, I think is what they call it. I don't know what that means though.
Kingdom Hearts Coded?
Coded. Kingdom Hearts Coded. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
after Kingdom Hearts 2.
yeah. After Kingdom Hearts 2, which is a weird one that I never got around to
So,
playing.
so it's
But
2, then Coded, then Dream Drop, then 3, then Melody of Memory.
yeah,
Yeah. Dang.
there's a lot to unpack with Kingdom Hearts.
Lots going on there for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, yeah, I'll say this again with the as far as sound design goes, just because I know we're about to wrap up on sound design. Um, it, I know it's the official voice of Genie outside of the original movie, but it's hard to replace like Robin Williams, right? When it comes to Genie, or it's like it's still a little tough to hear like a voice that's not that person, like that's so stuck in your ear. Like Eddie Murphy not being Mushu is weird to me, even though like officially he's not going to be the voice in other properties that aren't the movie. I only know the movie, so just from that perspective, it's like man, it doesn't sound like Mushu to me. But complaint, non-complaint, take it how you will.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to sound design. This is a fun one. NPC award, Lucas. I want you to go ahead and start here.
All right, mine has an asterisk on it, and I actually need to ask for a point of clarity on this one. Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse is not an NPC.
Okay, but I wasn't sure because you play as him if you die in a section.
He's playable. That's so weird.
But
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was the final mix or not, or if I was just getting him. Why is he only in that one set? I didn't
That's
know
in
if that
Kingdom
was.
Hearts. It's when you're fighting Zaldin, right, or the spear guy.
Yes, you're fighting the spear guy at Beast Castle,
Yeah.
and like
I
it
don't
only
know
happens
why
if you die.
I don't know why that's there at that one specific part actually.
I was so confused. It's like, why doesn't that show up at the end or something?
Oh,
Um,
my apartment. Can you hear me?
I could hear you. Yeah. Well, all
Just
people
totally
that are
lost light.
listening, all of Matt's lights in his apartment just went out somehow.
Lucas, talk. I'm gonna go like check something. Real
Okay,
quick.
I'll keep everybody busy while
Marcus.
you turn that on. Okay. Wow. Interesting. I guess we'll cut all of this out in the podcast recording, but we'll have to talk for the live stream here. Uh, let's hope that Matt is okay. Blanks is saying, catch me as a surprise guest for the BBS episodes. That's BBS is Birth by Sleep. Is that the one? Is that one also coming out on DS? I guess I'm gonna check into that one real quick. Birth by Sleep, action role playing game developed by Square on. Oh, that's the PSP version. Okay, gotcha. That's so funny. It feels like Square Enix and Nomura have developed a game for like GBA, DS, PSP, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4, and mobile. So it's kind of been all over the place. Matt, do we have you back? Oh, you're muted. If we do have you back. All right, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, a little weird thing went on in my apartment there for a hot minute, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2. Where did we just leave off? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just musing on the fact that there's like a Kingdom Hearts game on every platform for the last like, or every major platform for the past like that era, because it was like PS2, GBA, PS2 again, PSP, DS, then PS4, and then Dream Drop Distance was on
3DS.
3DS.
Fun
Okay.
fact, I bought a 3DS pretty much just for that game.
Yeah,
that
I
one
think you
was
told me that
really
before.
hard, actually.
Really?
Yeah, like particularly hard in retrospect.
And then Melody of Memory is
Switch.
Switch, and then the mobile game as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, dang, cool. Yeah, I actually heard that Nomura made Chain of Memories for kids that didn't have a PS2. That was kind of one of the reasons for making it, was he wanted to kind of get people into Kingdom Hearts that didn't get a chance to get into it before, and a lot of kids had Game Boy Advances back then. So, pretty heartwarming right there.
Classic Nomura. Good
NPC
guy.
award is where I was at.
Yes, NPC award.
So Mickey Mouse is playable, but if you don't die at that part, he's not.
Yeah, I don't know like if there's any other moments or not. that does that. I'm gonna try and do a quick Google search on that. I
Yeah.
forgot to.
Now I like and Blanksy's still in the chat talking I didn't realize that Blanksy was such a huge Kingdom Hearts fan here. I thought he like kind of I didn't know he seems like to be as strong of a Kingdom Hearts fan as you, Matt, which is cool.
I know, I love it.
Uh, I think Mickey Mouse in this game gives me strong Star Wars Attack of the Clones Yoda vibes. He's like a little guy with a sword, like jumping around to fight. You know, he's got like a very like fast. He's like seems like he would be slow, but he's actually like kind of badass. You know, when he actually starts fighting. And there's literally lightsabers in Kingdom Hearts 2. I would say like I think that there was some strong like Star Wars prequel influence going on here in some sort of way, especially with some of those sci-fi elements. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
Mickey's totally like the de facto like Yoda in this
100%. Yeah.
universe. Yeah.
And so a little bit more to elaborate on Mickey randomly appearing. This is from Reddit. Not sure how accurate this is, but Mickey can only appear in certain fights when you're fighting Shan Yu, the Thresholder, the Darkthorn, Cerebus, Hydra, Volcano, the Blizzard Lord, Storm Rider, and Zaldin. Grim Reaper 1 and the first Armor Zemnis.
It's just such a random hodgepodge.
And apparently there's no like proper story explanation for it. Um, but like there's just theories that he's just like the king. He's promised to protect everyone, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's also the scene where he like kind of saves you in the beginning and gives you the coins from the nobodies. So it's kind of in that same vein, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, I was going with him because I wasn't sure since he only appeared the one time and it was only in a pinch when I died. I
Hmm.
thought it was like a final mix bonus that was thrown in there where like, hey, you know, we made him playable in this one, but only for like this one fight one time, and it's a hard fight or something. But all right, that's not a proper NPC award. I think I failed this one.
You did. I hate you. Um,
Ow.
so that was harsh. I'm sorry.
Who you got?
Um, my NPC is easily, easily Goofy.
Yes,
Every
Gorsh.
time Goofy says "Gosh, Sora," my heart just skips a fucking beat.
He's great.
Huge Goofy fan. There's just so many good memes of him in the game, like meme-worthy moments. I feel like he, yeah.
He's so smart. He like says like all these observations that it's like he's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just love Goofy. He's just funny and yeah, he's smart.
Yeah.
All right, moving into companion piece. I'll do mine really quickly because it's not that great of one. Well, I don't know. I think it's okay. But for my companion piece, I did Spider-Man Far From Home because kind of spoilers from Far From Home if you haven't seen it yet, I guess. But it's just like this game is like a crossover that shouldn't exist. No matter like Kingdom Hearts really is
Wait,
a series.
you mean No Way Home?
Excuse me, yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home is God, the fucking home thing gets me every time.
Homecoming.
Spider-Man
Far
No
From
Way Home is my companion piece because, like Kingdom Hearts as a whole and Kingdom Hearts 2 as well, um, it's like, why does this? How does this exist? How is this possible? It's just like it makes no sense, and I loved it.
Yeah.
The crossovers in Spider-Man No Way Home were insane, and still the fact that Disney's Mickey Mouse is running on Final Fantasy characters blows my mind.
Yeah. All right. Good companion piece pick, actually, because that's pretty topical right there. Okay. My companion piece pick is super random. And the reason I'm picking this one is because the action of this TV show really reminds me of the Kingdom Hearts action. I was talking about this with Matt earlier. I think that Kingdom Hearts, like, at least in this one, it's really developed its own style of like action, especially with those like reaction based QuickTime, like kind of QuickTime events during the boss fights, where like Sora's very aerial. He's moving around everywhere. There's all these fun zoom ins and like really interesting cuts. Like the camera will whip around in really interesting ways. The 2006 short lived canceled television show, Woolen Warriors Legend of the Seven Stars. It had 2 episodes aired on Cartoon Network and then was canceled. It's actually an Americanized version of a Taiwanese television series called Pili Puppet Drama, which is a long running puppet show, television show, still going today. Really, really cool action. There's actually a Netflix movie, or sorry, a Netflix season if anybody's interested in checking it out. The action is very similar to Kingdom Hearts, and it is puppets, so it's pretty badass. And the American show is just so bad. You can watch it on YouTube, and it's really fun.
How long has that been going on now? The Taiwan or the you said it's a
Almost
Taiwanese
40,
show.
almost 40 years.
And what's the Taiwanese show called again?
Pili, Pili. If you type in Pili puppet drama, you'll be able to find it. It's one of the most popular shows in Taiwan. Premiered in 1985.
God, that is incredible, and it's still
Yeah,
going. I love
it's
that.
literally like a puppet soap opera, and it has action in it too.
I love that. It's incredible.
Yeah, and the action is Kingdom Hearts like. It's so cool.
I know you sent me a great clip of it earlier. It was pretty nutty. Moving on to favorite moment, I kind of want to jump into mine first, Lucas, if you don't mind. Just
Go for it.
Blank C kind of brought it up in the chat. My favorite, well, I'm gonna go with my favorite moment from this playthrough, and then my like OG favorite moment. But there's a scene where Goofy just like takes a boulder to the fucking head, saving King Mickey. Like it's kind of like one of the more violent scenes, honestly. Because even like the sword fights that happen, or that sort, the Keyblade fights, like when they hit someone with the Keyblade, like there's no cuts or anything, but it's just like kind of looks more like they're getting just whacked by a blunt object. But Goofy just no magic, no bullshit, just takes a boulder to the fucking head.
I think you hear his
to the
neck snap.
cranium. What's that?
I think you hear his neck snap.
Do you? Fuck,
No,
yeah,
I'm just
maybe.
kidding.
I
It's just
believed
so-
you. I believed you, but it's just like, oh fuck, Goofy dies, and then Sora and Donald kind of give up on him pretty quick. Actually, just kind of leave his body there, and then Mickey's just like still smiling, but says, "Full pay," you know.
That was so good. I know, like angry Mickey because they killed Goofy. I was like, at least cast Cure on him or something, guys. Like,
Try a Cura, Donald.
Yeah.
Try a Cura. Yeah. Just give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. So that was my favorite moment this playthrough. But my like OG favorite moment is absolutely just the final battle with Sora and Riku versus Xemnas. Just so iconic, and just seeing those two fight together, like after knowing everything they went through in Kingdom Hearts 1, and then their journeys in Chain of Memories, the context behind that, understanding it after I played the game, but just knowing all of that was just incredible, and just seeing them fight together and like the cool reaction commands in it and stuff, absolute blast.
and the reflecting part, dude.
yeah,
That was so cool.
Nutty.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right, yeah, awesome. Great favorite moments. The Goofy dying, dude. That was like, why? Because he comes back
I
back
know.
literally
It-
30 seconds later.
it's
He's
not
like,
even like a.
"Hi, I'm here, guys. I'm good."
It's a very quick return. Yeah.
I know. Pretty funny. My favorite moments, definitely the middle climax. I mentioned it earlier, how I think that's where the game really connected for me the most. Everything about that middle part is perfect. It's like an extended plot development part. You find Ansem the Wise's old lab. You're all through Hollow Bastion, which is an old level from Kingdom Hearts 1. Leon shows up, who's a Final Fantasy character. Tifa shows up, who's a Final Fantasy character. Cloud shows up. And you even see Sephiroth. And like Mickey shows up, you're fighting alongside Mickey. And I mean, I just thought that it was so perfect because it was that blend of the Square Enix characters that I really love and I grew up with, really clashing with the Disney portions of it as well, being like equal 50-50 representation, where
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, I'm in this section and I'm fighting with Tifa and killing a bunch of Heartless. This is so awesome. And like, I don't know, to me, it's so badass to fight with Cloud. Like fighting with Goofy and Donald is cool, but like, oh my God, this is Cloud, dude. It's like
Yeah,
for me, that's
yeah.
like that's a pretty awesome, mind blowing part. So,
And yeah,
and the story development was great during that whole section too.
And the Thousand Heartless fight is just nutty too.
Yeah, that was so fun. My eyes were just glued to the screen. I felt like a little kid again.
Yeah, so
It was
so
awesome.
good. Alrighty, nitpicks. Here we go.
Okay, this is gonna go in line a little bit. I think I mentioned it. So my take is that I think that Kingdom Hearts is best when it's the Disney characters in the Square Enix world and not the other way around. I think that like when we're in the original Kingdom Hearts setting, where like we're in Hollow Bastion and we're having a fight with like 1,000 Heartless with Mickey, or we're in the world that never was and we're fighting like Organization 13 with Goofy and Donald, and like those are cooler moments to me. Playing through like the plot of Mulan 1 is less interesting, I think, and I get it because those are like not key moments of the game, but I've already seen Mulan, so it's kind of like, okay, I'm kind of just running through the motions of playing through a little bit of a watered down version of Mulan or Pirates of the
Yeah.
Caribbean, you know. And I think like you kind of just like move through those parts, get stronger. There's sort of like those beginning levels that just aren't that fun yet, but so I guess my complaint's kind of like that the early levels are just less interesting because I've already seen the plot of those movies. That's just my nitpick.
Yeah, I think that's palpable. My big one is that some cutscenes I just felt really dragged on.
Which
Um,
ones?
just like a lot of them, honest. I mean, I think some of this may just be a product of me having played the game before, to be honest. But I mean, when I'm in like a 5 minute cutscene in between boss fights, I don't know. It just feels like a lot sometimes. I guess, like
Yeah.
especially in the Disney worlds, like you mentioned the first time through, where you're like, yeah, I don't need this explained. Like I know what's happening.
Yeah, well, there's a part where like you're you're playing through Mulan and you literally do like the avalanche scene. You just experience exactly the avalanche scene where it's like the cutscene is the firework dragon thing, and Mulan lights it with Mushu and then shoots the firework at the mountain, and then the avalanche comes and like comes down. And it's like it's not a real to me like that cutscene's chill, but it's also like I literally saw this in Mulan like 20 years ago, so I just I don't know what I'm gonna get out of watching this, other than like the fact that there's a bunch of Heartless in this one.
Yeah,
It just feels like a watered down version of what I saw that was done in the cartoon. So,
yeah.
yeah. So if in that way, it's kind of like this is a boring cutscene because it's not original. So that's kind of part of your take and mine.
And Blank Sea brings up a great point that yes, um, another quality of life thing as well between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. And in Kingdom Hearts 1, none of the cutscenes were skippable.
Yeah, that must have been awful.
Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts 2 they were, but I was just inclined not to because it's I'm playing the game. But to be fair, yes, they are skippable should you choose to do so in this game.
Hmm.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. Alrighty, Lucas, would you play other games from Square Enix
Yep.
and more Kingdom Hearts
Yeah.
games?
I mean, yeah, I have played lots of Final Fantasies. And you know, I'm a huge fan of Square Enix. I'm a huge fan of Square Soft. I'll throw it back. All right,
Oh,
before they were even Square Enix.
gosh.
And you know, we've played Kingdom Hearts 1. I really want to play the other Kingdom Hearts now for sure. And I really do want to play Kingdom Hearts 3 when we can later down the line. Although my sources tell me that Kingdom Hearts 2 is might be better than Kingdom Hearts 3 in some ways. So, um, you know, I guess we'll have to see whenever we get around to it.
Yeah, can't wait for that. We got a lot of games to play in between before then. Other Kingdom Hearts games. Um, I don't know. I think we can. I think before we do Kingdom Hearts 3, the big one you really need to play is Birth by Sleep. That's a really, really big one that really sets up the future story. Dream Drop Distance, if we can make it happen, would be good. You don't need to play. I mean, we need to have you watch something to get the story, but 358 days isn't really worth the time, in my personal opinion. Um, and like the other ones aren't that great either, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But yeah.
I'm in on the story. Like I think I finally like get it. I remember even at the very beginning of us starting the game, I was like, "Okay, Matt, is the story good or is it just complicated and convoluted?" And you're like, uh, "You know what? It's good." You're like
Yeah.
just kind of like, you know, it's good. You know, and I think as some of those twists and turns happened and it was like, "Okay, hang on. I think nobody's okay. Okay, that's his no. Okay,
Yeah.
Namine is okay, and then it just kind of starts like the pieces start coming together, and then it's like, okay, so Ansem from the first game was not really Ansem, it was that guy, and that's Ansem, and that's Ansem, okay, and like when all those connections start happening, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of in on the game, on the story. I kind of want to like watch some recap videos now, and
Yeah.
like get going on the other
And
ones.
like, I mean, you said it like the answer to both questions you just posed is yes, right? Like, yes, especially as the future games get introduced and the like lore content comes out with Kingdom Hearts backstory, which I mean, I can't even like. Do you know what a foreteller is, Lucas? Or the dandelions?
No.
Exactly. I barely know what it is, but I kind of do. Like, it just, it is the most incredibly convoluted game series out there, as far as the story goes. and it only gets more and more convoluted with each iteration and release.
Yeah, Blanksy
And
just said it. If you look
yeah,
at that, he said it in the chat.
but
You think it makes sense now?
yeah, but as complicated as convoluted as it is, if you are willing to put in the time to actually like, watch the videos you need to, play the games and learn the lore, it is good. It is
Yeah.
very, very, very good.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
getting hints of that because I'm just diving in, but
yeah,
I can see how I can see it. I can see it. I find all the original stuff, Organization 13, anything that's not Disney in the Kingdom Hearts universe is very, very interesting to me. All the Disney stuff is just like, at a certain point, it's kind of like, eh, I want more Organization 13. Like this Mickey stuff, Goofy almost dying, that's
yeah,
crazy. Oh my God. But it's like, oh my God, 1,000 Heartless. Like, let's fight all those fools, you know?
yeah. All right, love it. So I think we kind of just gave our seal of approval, but definitely got my Segoy of approval as well. Ratings? I think it's time for ratings.
I think so. Yep. Got my seal of approval for sure.
Alrighty.
All right. So we are going to give our ratings each. And I'm sure everyone really knows our rating system. We're going to rate it out of 10, add those up out of 20. And our score out of 20 will become the ultimate score for the video game. All right, Matt. 3, 2, 1. 9.
9.
All
Yeah.
right. Both gave it a 9. I thought you would give it a 10.
I love
Pretty,
Kingdom
pretty
Hearts
confused.
2, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure it's a 10 for me. I mean, obviously it's not a 10, but honestly, there's another Kingdom Hearts game I won't mention yet that might be more of a 10 for me. Um, I won't mention which one that is, but yeah, I mean, I love the game to death, but I don't know. I still think little things could be better, but yeah, still
Hmm.
a great game overall. But I don't
Gotcha.
know. Maybe it is a 10. Honestly, I think I just docked it to the 9 because of that cutscenes thing, but I don't know if that's like a really valid point anymore. But no, actually, I'm gonna hold the 9 because your point about the Disney worlds being slow on your first run through is very, very valid.
Yeah, yeah. That's really why I'm giving it a 9. I think like especially when every other room of the Mulan world has a cutscene and every other room of the Pirates world has a pirate scene. And I've just literally seen those I've just literally seen those a lot. And the episode to give it credit, the second part of all those Disney worlds is an original extension of the story that's more Kingdom Hearts oriented and more Square Enix like original. Those are sick. But just playing through the established story of those worlds it brings it to a 9 for me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So that's an 18 out of 20. According to our Naruto character strength tier list, that puts it in the Kakashi Guy zone. It's a pretty good zone to be in.
It's a great zone.
Yeah.
It's a
All
great
right.
zone. Alrighty. Well, unless you have anything else, Lucas, I think that's all we got today, everyone. As always, everyone, if you want, you can find us online at TFP Podcast. That's TFP Podcast with an S at the end. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, and what's the other one? Instagram at all those handles as well. You can also shoot us an email. Thanks for playing pod at gmail.com. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or leave a follow wherever you do listen to your podcast, Spotify, Stitcher. We're on all of them as well. And yeah, if you want to hang out with your good buddy Matt, you can follow me on Twitter at Good Idea Matthew.
Awesome. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can at Good Idea Lucas. Of course, follow the pod at TFP Podcasts, and of course, hit me up on Discord whenever you want to chat. And huge shout out to Blanksy for just coming through on the pod and chatting with us this time around and getting all sorts of really, really awesome content in for us. As always, thanks, Blanksy.
Thank you, King Blanksy. All right, everyone, this has been. Thanks for playing. Catch you next time.